The planet Syrinx 9 was dying. It was a small green world with 2 moons and quiet oceans. The people of Syrinx, called the Syrinxians, had lived in peace for thousands of years. They were scientists, dreamers, and builders. They had no weapons. No armies, only knowledge and hope. But none of that could stop what was coming. Their sun, once golden and warm, had started to dim. Not slowly, like stars usually do. This was fast, too fast. Every day the sky became darker. Plants stopped growing. The oceans turned cold. No one knew why. The scientists tried everything. They sent probes into the sun. They studied its energy. What they found terrified them. Something was pulling the life out of their sun. It wasn't natural, desperate. The Syrinxians turned to the stars. They built a signal tower high above the clouds and sent out a galactic SOS. Please, our sun is dying. We are peaceful. We need help. Anyone, please. The signal repeated every minute, across space, across languages, but no one came. Days passed, then weeks. Still no reply. The Galactic Council heard it and ignored it. Helping a small world would cost too much. Their leaders said, "It's not our problem." The stronger alien empires saw it as a waste. Some even joked about it. A few pirates considered visiting, not to help, but to take what they could before the planet froze. The Syrinxians prepared for death. Families held each other. Schools closed. Fires were lit in homes, even though wood was running out. The great libraries were sealed to protect history, though. Most believed there would be no one left to read them. Then, one night, something changed. The signal tower received a reply. It was short. Only one message. "We heard you." That was all. No name, no species, no offer or threat, just for words. And silence. The council members were confused. Who sent that? Which race? Which quadrant? The signal didn't match any known language. It was translated only by its basic tone and meaning. Whoever sent it had hidden their origin. Fear crept through the halls of power. On Syrinx 9, the people were not afraid. They were confused, yes, but more than that, they felt something strange, hope too. Days later, the sky changed. The sun still burned weak. But above the planet, something massive appeared. A ship. Silent, black, like a moving mountain in space. It had no lights, no engines that could be seen. It didn't come fast or slow, it just was suddenly there. The space station picked up. No weapons, no signals. The Syrinxians gathered outside, looking up. Their breath turned to frost. Children held their parents' hands. Soldiers, though few, stood ready. Then from the ship, a beam of light touched the ground near the signal tower. And from that beam, a figure walked out. It was tall, covered in smooth gray armor. Its face was hidden. It moved slowly, but with purpose. One step at a time. No fear. No rush. A Syrinx elder named Telving stepped forward and spoke. "Who are you?" he asked. His voice shook. The figure stopped, looked up at the sky, looked at the sun, then spoke in a deep, calm voice. "You called for help. I came." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Talvin asked, "Are you Galactic Council, or from the Kari Empire?" The figure replied, "No, I am human." Went silent. That word human was ancient. A species from a far-off death world. Strong, strange, unpredictable. They were believed to be extinct or in hiding. Others said they had become something else. But now, one of them stood here, alive, and he had answered their cry for help. Tolvin took a careful breath. "Do you want something from us? Payment? Power?" The figure tilted his head. "No, I only ask, show me where it hurts." Then he looked up again, straight at the dying sun, and began to walk toward the skybeam. Without another word, he returned to his ship, and within moments, it began to move again, not away from the planet, but straight toward the heart of the sun. The people of Syrinx 9 stood in silence. Their last hope was now inside the star, and no one knew what would happen next. The black ship moved with no sound. It floated into the burning star like a shadow sinking into fire. No ship had ever done that before. Syrixians watched from their observatories, eyes wide with fear and wonder. Inside the ship, the human was alone. His name was not given. No ID, no crew, no voice logs. Just a single message left behind in the signal tower. Do not follow. Do not fear. I will return. Outside, the people waited. Minutes passed, then hours, then a day. Many believed he was dead. Even the strongest metal would melt inside a star, but the ship had not melted. And now the sun itself had stopped shrinking. Syrixian scientists could not understand it. The pull has weakened, the radiation is changing. It was impossible, but it was happening. And then on the third day, the sky shook. A loud hum echoed across the skies, like a wave crashing through space. Children ran to the rooftops. Old ones fell to their knees. Animals stopped moving. A golden light shot out from the sun, not fire, but energy. Calm, bright, beautiful. And then the black ship emerged. It looked untouched. Not a single burn. Not a single scratch. Slowly, it drifted down from orbit, and again. A beam of light touched the ground near the signal tower. The human had returned. He stepped out of the beam, just as silent as before. But something was different now. His armor glowed faintly, like it had absorbed part of the sun itself. The Syrixians didn't know whether to cheer or run, tall dash Ving. The elder stood forward once more. You survived. You fixed it? Asked voice trembling. The human looked at the sky. The sun now burned brighter, stronger, like it was young again. He spoke. The star was not sick. It was being drained. Something was eating it. I stopped it. Tolvin stepped closer. What was eating it? The human did not answer. Instead, he raised a small device from his wrist. A hologram appeared, the image of a massive, unknown structure hidden inside the sun's core. A parasite, ancient, machine-like, still trying to attach itself to stars. Your sun was not the first, the human said, but now it is free. Gasps spread across the crowd. The scientists stared at the image, shocked. One asked, "You've seen this before?" The human gave a slow nod. It lives where no one looks. It feeds where others fear to go. Talvin's voice grew softer. Why us? Why help? The human turned his gaze to the people, weak, cold, nearly lost, and said, "Because you asked, and no one else came." Silence again. It was not said with pride or anger, just truth. The human turned to leave. His mission was done. Talvin called out one more time, "Wait, what do we call you?" The human paused. "I have no name you'd understand, but if you must, call me what your kind once called mine, human." He walked into the light once more and returned to his ship. From space, the black ship stayed in orbit for one more night. Lights flickered across its surface, as if something inside was thinking. On the other side of the galaxy, in the deep halls of the Galactic Council, alarms began to sound. A high-level signal had been intercepted. Human energy signature detected. One ship, one being. Class: unknown. Power level: unmeasured. Threat level: red. The council was afraid. Humans had been quiet for centuries. Some believed they had destroyed themselves. Others believed they had simply vanished. No one knew for sure. But now one had returned, not with war, but with power that no empire could match. And worse, he had ignored the council. He had acted without permission. The council called a secret meeting. Why now? Asked one. What does he want? Asked another. Third said quietly, maybe it's not what he wants. Maybe it's what we didn't do. And now they remember. Back on Syrinx 9, the sun was bright again. Crops began to grow, returned. Children laughed in the streets. But in every city, people built statues, not to gods, not to heroes, to a single, unknown visitor, a being who came when all others stayed away, and in every home. The story was told of the black ship, the silent human, and the moment when a dying world cried out. Someone answered. After the failed trap on Naro 5, the black ship vanished again. No signal, no direction, it's just silence. The Galactic Council was in panic. They sent more scouts, more traps, but the human never returned. But someone else was still watching. The Syrixians, on their world. Life had returned to normal. Crops were growing. Cities were warming. The sun now burned with a steady golden light. But the people were changed. They had seen something the rest of the galaxy feared. And they did not fear it. They missed him. One day, weeks after his disappearance, a young Syrinx girl named Lima stood at the old signal tower. She was only 12 cycles old, but her heart was full of questions. She looked up at the sky and whispered, "Are you still listening?" She didn't expect a reply, but then her small device buzzed. A soft light flickered in front of her. It was him, a hologram, just a message. He stood tall, silent as always, and then spoke. I remember that voice. I have time for one story. Lima blinked. A story. Why? The hologram replied, so you'll understand why we listen. The vision changed. It showed a planet, blue and green, stormy skies and deep oceans. Earth. The human voice began. Long ago, my people cried out, just like you did. Our skies burned. Our cities broke. War, disease, pain. We sent messages, pleas for help. Not for weapons, not for money, just help. But no one came. Lima watched, eyes wide, as the vision showed humans building shelters, fighting storms, carrying wounded people on their backs, cities in ruins, children crying, robots helping rebuild, soldiers protecting streets, not from enemies, but from hunger and fire. Then the vision shifted again, showing stars, planets, alien species. They all heard us, but they turned away. Too far. It's too dangerous, too human. So, we helped ourselves. The vision showed new Earth cities, high towers, clean energy, machines of light and sound, humans walking side by side. With AI children playing in open sky parks, but behind every smile, there was still a shadow. We grew stronger, smarter, faster, but we never forgot the silence. So we made a choice. We would never be like them. Someone cried out, and no one else came. We would. Lima felt tears in her eyes. That's why you helped us. The human nodded slowly. Yes, not because you're strong, not because you're important, but because you were hurting. And you asked. She looked at the sun above. But you're so powerful now. Why stay hidden? He paused. Because power is not trust. We don't want to rule. We don't want to be kings or gods. We just want to be the answer. Back on Council Prime, something else was happening. A hacker, a rebel from the Council's own data wing, had stolen the human message. He leaked it. Within hours, millions across the galaxy had seen it. The story of Earth, the silence, the self-healing, the quiet promise we would come. Across colonies, people began to talk. They helped the sun. They asked for nothing. They were abandoned once, just like us. The council tried to stop the spread, but it was too late. The galaxy had seen the truth, and not everyone feared the humans now. Some respected them. Some admired them. Some prayed they would come if needed. Back on Syrinx 9, Lima kept the small cube close to her chest. It glowed now and then, not always, but enough to remind her he's still listening. Built no armies. They sent no threats. Instead, they added new lines to their oldest song, the Song of Stars. When the light began to die, and no gods heard our cry, one visitor came through the flame and left without his name. He carried pain, but gave us peace. He asked for nothing, only release. And when we asked why he stood alone, he said once we cried and no one came home. The story of Syrinx 9 spread like fire and dry wind. Across the galaxy, whispers turned into belief. People who once feared humans now saw something else. Not monsters, not rulers, but silent protectors. A species that helped and vanished. And soon, more worlds began to wonder, what if we called out to? Would they come? One by one, new distress signals were sent, not to the council, but to the stars. Simple messages. Honest cries. On Warmothri, a mining colony was trapped under heavy quakes. The ground cracked, the air grew thin. The workers sent a signal. We are buried. Oxygen low. Help us. Anyone. The council ignored it, too costly. But 3 hours later, a shadow appeared above the dust clouds. A black ship, smaller than the one from Syrinx, but shaped the same. It didn't speak. It didn't land. Instead, energy waves pulsed into the ground. Rocks moved. Broken tunnels opened. Air flowed in. Miners were saved. When they rushed outside to thank their savior, there was no one there. The ship had already left. On Sala 9, a water system collapsed. Millions faced death by thirst. No one answered their cry, except the sky opened. Rain began to fall. Artificial clouds. Not natural, not random. And far above, sensors caught the edge of a vanishing ship. Shaped like a crescent, coated in dark metal. It disappeared before anyone could reach it. But the rain stayed for weeks. And on a quiet moon called Edrin's Light, a small colony was slowly freezing. Their sun had dimmed. Ice crept into every home. They sent their last signal in the dark. We are cold. Our children sleep and don't wake. This is our final message. 12 minutes later, heat shields covered the sky. Power stations came online, dropped silently from orbit. No sound. Ow! No voice, just life. Across space, a pattern became clear. Wherever true pain was felt, wherever cries were honest and pure. They came, not with armies, not with fleets. Just one ship, one visitor, one quiet solution. Back on Council Prime, panic grew louder. This is worse than war, said Commander Glax. They don't destroy us, they replace us. They are showing the people that they don't need us anymore. Krell slammed the table. They are not helping. They're breaking order. But Advisor Var spoke calmly. No, they're showing us who we used to be, and maybe we should be again. Still, the Council acted. They issued a warning across all systems. Any species requesting human assistance will be marked as unstable. Protection may be removed, trade may be banned. But it was too late. Too many had already felt the warmth of silent ships. On Syrinx 9, young Lima sat again at the signal tower. She watched the sky with hope. In one evening, the cube in her hand lit up. A small message flickered. Not from him alone, but from others. We hear more voices now. Some of us are returning. The quiet ones. The listeners. The guardians who walk alone. But we are enough. Lima's heart raced. There was not just one visitor anymore. There were others. Scattered across. Stars hidden, waiting, listening. Not as an empire. Not as saviors. But as watchers. Ready to stand where others had turned away in deep space. Near the edge of the known galaxy, 3 black ships moved silently together. Their symbols were unknown. Their paths were secret. But their purpose was clear. Find pain. bring light. Leave quietly. They answered no rulers, only the voice of need. On one distant world, a young alien child asked their father, "Why do they help us if they never stay?" The father smiled, because the ones who stay often ask for something back, but the ones who leave only wanted to see us stand again. And above it all, one message became legend across stars. Cry once, and if your heart is true, one of them will hear. The black ship stayed in orbit above Sirius 9 for 5 more days. It made no sound. It sent no message. It just floated there like a shadow waiting in the stars. The Sirixians tried to reach out. They sent thanks, songs, gifts of art and knowledge. But the ship didn't respond. Inside it, the human worked alone. His ship was more than a machine. It was alive in a way no one understood. The walls shifted. The lights moved like they were breathing. No one had ever seen human tech like this. But no one could study it either, because no one could get close. Orbit drones shut down when they flew too near. Probes melted. One brave Sirixian pilot tried to approach the ship in a small craft. His controls froze. He passed out. When he woke up, he was on the surface again, safe, but shaken. "They don't want visitors," he whispered. "They're protecting something, or hiding it." Far beneath the surface of the planet, in the Sirixian science core, the lead minds studied the sun. What they found was even more shocking than before. "The energy inside the star is healing," said one. Another added, "No more than healing. It's growing, changing." On their screens, they saw it, a strange object, deep inside the star's center, some kind of device glowing with pulses of power. It was not native. It was not part of the sun. It built something inside. "Our star," the lead scientist's hands trembled. "And it's keeping the sun alive." Back aboard the ship, the human watched it all. The parasite he had destroyed was ancient. He'd seen it before once, a long time ago, in another corner of the galaxy. It had consumed 3 stars before anyone knew what it was. It lived in Sue stars. Fire. It had no name, just hunger. But now, it was gone, and the sun of Sirius 9 would burn bright for another 100,000 years. He looked at the readings, stabilized, balanced, purified. The work was done, but something still felt unfinished. On day 6, the human sent a second message to the surface. Just 2 words: "I'm leaving." Talving the Elder rushed to the signal tower. "Wait. Please, before you go, let us see you, just once more." There was no answer for a long time. Then the beam of light appeared again. The human stepped out, as before, tall, silent. Glowing faintly from his time inside the sun, the people gathered in silence. Tolving stood close and spoke gently. "Who are you really? Why do you travel alone?" The human stared at the sky, then spoke. "There are not many of us left. We don't live in cities anymore. We do not take part in wars. We don't ask for power or praise. We listen for the cries that others ignore. And we answer." Tolving asked quietly, "Why?" The human was silent for a while. Then he said, "Because once we cried too. No one came. The crowd was still. The wind moved through their robes, but no one spoke." The human stepped forward, pulled a small cube from his armor, placed it in Talvin's hand. "This will protect your son from anything like it again," he said. "And this." He pointed toward the sky. "It's not the only place that needs help." He turned toward the light beam again. But Tolvin raised his voice one last time. "Will you ever return?" The human paused. "If another cry is sent, yes. But if I return, it means something has gone very, very wrong." And with that, he stepped into the light. The ship rose from orbit, and then it vanished. Not with a sound, not with a flash, just gone. In the days that followed, the Sirixians rebuilt their cities. Crops grew faster than ever before. The energy from the human's device inside the sun gave them new power, warmth, and hope. But something else had changed too. A story had begun to spread across colonies, trading ports, and deep space stations. A story of a dying sun, of a strange parasite, a being who walked into fire and came out stronger. The council tried to hide it. They called it false. They said humans no longer exist. But people whispered, and the name turned humans, Deathworlders, the ones who walk alone. They were not dead. They were just waiting for another cry to rise through the stars. And when it does, they will come again. Far away from Sirius 9, deep. Within the floating fortress known as Council Prime, powerful voices filled the chamber of stars. The Galactic Council was made of the oldest and strongest species in the galaxy. They ruled over thousands of systems. Their word was law, but now they were afraid. A recording of the Sirius 9 event had reached them, despite their efforts to block it. The footage showed a massive black ship, a human stepping into a dying sun, and a star that had been saved. More. Then saved, healed, and that was what scared them most. "This is impossible," barked Chancellor Krell of the Kari Empire. "A single human cannot do this. It must be a trick." "Yet the star lives," replied High Advisor Turok of the Velen Order. "The readings are real, the device inside the star. It is not Sirixian." "Then we are in danger," said Commander Glax of the Zari fleet. "If one human can control a sun, imagine what 10 could do?" A cold silence fell over the room. None of them liked talking about humans. Long ago, humans were considered dangerous. Not because of violence, though they were strong. Not because of technology, though they were clever. But because of something else. They were unpredictable. They helped without asking. They fought for species that weren't their own. And then they vanished. Some said they had left the galaxy. Others believed they had evolved into something else. The council told everyone the humans were extinct. Now that lie was falling apart. Counselor Var, the oldest being present, leaned forward. His voice was soft. "I remember them. They once saved my world too, without payment, without demand." "Then they left," Krell growled. "You sound thankful." Var replied, "I am." But Krell slammed his fist. "They broke council law, entered a system without permission. What if the people of Sirix worship them now? What if their trust shifts away from us?" Commander Glax added. "What if this human decides to act again, somewhere we don't approve?" That was the fear none of them would say out loud: control. If people began to trust the humans more than the council, the balance of power would break. So, if they made a decision, they would find the human. They would stop him, even if he had done no harm, even if he had saved a son. They could not allow a lone visitor to undo centuries of council rule within hours. Scout ships were sent out to search the Sirix system, but the black ship had vanished without a trace. Not a signal, not a trail, nothing. So they tried something else. They used a trap in a remote system called Narufa. They built a fake world, a fake sun, a fake colony. They made it look like the sun was dying again. Then they sent out an SOS, a cry for help, exactly like the one from SYRIX-9. They waited 1 day, 2 days, 2 days, nothing. Then, on the 3rd day, a black ship appeared. It was smaller this time, just 1/3 the size of the Sirix one. But the design was the same. No windows, no weapons showing. The ship came quietly and stopped above the fake colony. No one moved. Inside the council command ship, high above Naro 5, Commander Glax ordered his team, "Do not fire, not yet. Let him come." As expected, the ship opened a beam of light, and once again, a figure stepped out. He looked the same, tall, armored, face hidden. Walking slow, calm, he stepped into the fake colony, looked at the fake sun, touched the ground, then paused. He looked around and spoke out loud. This is not a cry for help. He turned his head straight toward the hidden council cameras. "It's a trap." Suddenly the ground shook. The human raised one hand. The council soldiers rushed in from hidden doors. Gravity fields activated. Energy nets dropped. For a few seconds, it seemed they had caught him. He didn't resist. He just stood there and said, "You heard the cry. You faked the pain. That tells me what kind of leaders you are." The nets began to spark. And then, failed, the gravity field cracked like glass. And then he vanished. Not in a flash, Not in a beam, he just blinked out of space, like he had never been there. Back on Council Prime, the fear became real. "This is worse than we thought," whispered Var. Commander Glax looked pale. "If he had wanted to destroy us, he could have." Chancellor Krell stared at the screen. What are they becoming? Across the galaxy, a new fear began to grow. The humans were not just alive. They were watching. They were listening. And they were no longer what the galaxy remembered. They were something beyond imagination now, and no one knew what they would do next. The Council was growing desperate. They had lost control. Too many planets now trusted the silent visitors. Too many systems had received help without asking, without paying, without fear. Some even removed their council representatives. They said, "We don't need voices that ignore us. We need those who hear us." This was not just about humans anymore. It was about belief. Belief was spreading like fire. So the council made a plan. A final one. A trap. But this time, it would not be simple. This time, they would not try to catch a human. They would try to destroy one. In a remote system called Gavro's 7, they built a fake colony, just like before. But now, it looked even more real. Sick children, broken machines, a slowly dying star. All fake, all part of the illusion. They broadcasted the distress signal for 11 days. Then, on the 12th day, a black ship appeared. It was smaller, sleek, smooth, no visible weapons. But it was enough. He came. The visitor. He landed quietly like always. He walked alone, like always. But this time, the air smelled wrong. He paused at the edge of the fake colony. The children were too still. The buildings too perfect. The cries too clean. He said aloud, "This is not pain. This is a lie." And then the trap was triggered. Thousands of hidden cannons powered up at once. A pulse wave shot out from orbit. A gravnet locked around the ship. Antimatter fields dropped from satellites above. A voice from the council echoed through the valley. "You are surrounded. You are no longer welcome. You will not leave this place." For a moment, everything stopped. Then the visitor stepped forward. Into the center of the trap. He did not fight. He did not run. He simply raised his hand and spoke. "You fear what you do not understand. You trap what you cannot become. And you forget what you once were." The ground shook. The sky dimmed. And something strange happened. A second black ship appeared without warning right behind the council fleet. Then a third. Then 5 more. No engine sounds. No warp trails, just presence. Each ship hovered in silence. The trap field cracked. Council forces panicked. One admiral shouted, "Where did they come from? Who are they?" The original visitor answered, "We are not many, but we are enough. You thought there was one of us left. You were wrong. Ships did not fire. Instead, they sent out a signal across the galaxy. Open, raw, real. It showed Earth long ago. It crying for help. Being ignored, it showed Sirix 9, Warma 3, Salin 9. Edrin's light, all saved without demand. It showed council lies, traps, silence, and finally, the silent ones, the last humans, not as soldiers, but as something else. They were no longer just human. They were listeners. They had changed. Not with weapons, but with time. With purpose, they lived in ships that healed, armor that breathed, minds that reached across light years. They had become something between flesh and starlight, and they had one. Mission answer cries. Expect nothing. Leave quietly. But if stopped, warn once, leave twice, return. No more back on Council Prime. The feed ended. The chamber was silent. For the first time, the council had no answer. No excuse. They had tried to catch shadows. But now the galaxy had seen truth. Advisor Var spoke first, voice trembling. They never wanted war. They just didn't want to be alone again. On Sirix 9, young Lima looked up at the night. Sky, the cube in her hand, was glowing brightly now. But this time, It spoke, a voice she knew. Lima. The council tried again. We told them the truth. Some will listen now, some won't, but don't be afraid. We will not stop hearing, even if they stop believing. She smiled. Will I ever see you again? The answer came slowly. If the cry is real, yes, and if not me, then another. Above Gavro 7, the ships disappeared, not in light, but in silence, and across the stars, the people waited. Not in fear, but in hope. The galaxy was not the same anymore. Something had shifted, not in space, but in hearts, across star systems, colonies, moons, and deep space stations. People had seen what once was only legend. The humans were real. The visitors were watching, the quiet ones were answering, and they were not gods, not kings. They were something stranger and greater. They were beyond imagination. On Council Prime, silence ruled the high chamber. No more shouting. No more threats, just silence. After the failed trap on Gavro 7 and the message that was broadcast galaxy-wide, the council had lost something they could never get back. Feared the people no longer feared humans. They respected them. They trusted them. And most dangerous of all, they believed in them. Commander Glax stood near the main view screen, watching news reports flood in. Edrin's light just built a monument, not to the council, but to the visitor who saved their son. Wormer 3 is requesting trade with neutral systems, saying they want freedom from council rule. A new alliance is forming, and the Outer Rim built on listening, not control. Counselor Var, old and calm, said softly, maybe this is not the end. Maybe this is a new beginning. But Krell, ever proud, clenched his jaw. You still trust them? Even now? Var looked up. I don't need to trust them. I only need to know this. When the galaxy was silent, they answered. On Syrinx 9, the people gathered for a celebration, not a festival of power. No. Not a tribute to wealth or rule, a remembrance. Children lit candles. For the day their son was saved, the day the sky opened, the day hope walked into fire and returned stronger. Lima stood at the old signal tower. Now polished and rebuilt in her hands, the glowing cube hummed gently, and then, as the night sky shimmered above, a beam of golden light appeared. No sound, no warning, and from it, he came back. The visitor looked the same, tall, armored, silent. But this time he removed his helmet. The crowd gasped. His face was human, but not normal. Eyes that shimmered like stars. Skin faintly lit with energy. Calm, still deep. He smiled. Not a big smile. Just enough. Lima stepped forward, holding the cube. You came back. He nodded. You still remember? She said. Always. Telvin, now older and slower, stepped forward too. Why return now? The human answered. Because this world remembered without being asked. You shared the story without wanting reward. You gave truth. And never tried to twist it. And because the galaxy now listens, even if the council still does not. He walked through the crowd. No guards, no fear, just quiet, awe, children. Touched his armor, elders bowed. Scientists asked no questions. Farmers gave silent nods. They didn't need proof anymore. They had seen the sun burn again. The visitor turned and looked at the sky. More will come, he said, not just cries. For help, but those who want to learn, to build, to share. We were never meant to stay alone. We just needed time to become. Ready? Lima whispered. What are you now? The visitor looked at her and beyond her, as if he saw something far away. We are not gods. We are not ghosts. What happens when the forgotten rise quietly, when the hurt choose to heal, when the listeners return? That night he left again, not forever, but for now his ship rose silently, joining the stars once more. And this time, a dozen other ships followed him. Small, different, silent, some larger, some smaller, some shaped like nothing known. They didn't wave flags. They didn't shout names. They just drifted into the dark, toward the next cry, across the galaxy. A new era began, not ruled by power, but guided by memory. Every colony, every world, every species had one quiet thought. If we fall, someone might still come, and they will ask nothing. They will only say, "Show me where it hurts." In time, the council shrank, not by war, but by silence. Their power faded, and in its place, hope grew, and on a cold moon, far beyond known charts, a lonely signal went out to whoever listens. We are small, we are weak, but we are alive. Please, don't let us die here. The stars blinked. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, a single reply, just for words. We heard. You.